What's up, guys? We are back again in Bainbridge, Georgia with my boy Sesko. Tell the people what the hell you played today.
What's up, everybody? Giancarlo here from the Three Swords Productions. It's our first locals where set 3 is legal, and we played Katakuri.
You played that boy?
Charlotte, Katakuri. Yeah, so I think everyone's really hype about yellow, and I was also very hype, and I was excited to play a new color and a new deck. You know, set 2 we've said has been stale,
yes.
So like I had an absolute blast, and I did end up going undefeated.
You did what?
Undefeated. I played Zoro. I forgot. Zoro, Kinemon, and then Ace. And so
a good variety of decks.
Exactly. Yeah. I think some of the matchups you can struggle against are like the Whitebeard, just because like they can flood you really quickly. But against a lot of decks, you can combat their aggression really well because you play guys off of your life, and then 10-drop Big Mom is honestly just a broken card. But we can talk about that while we get into the card, so let's get into the build.
Let's get into it.
We have 4 pudding. Just look at the top 4. Add a Big Mom or a Sanji, kind of just your standard Nami type card.
Gotta have it.
For Streisand, his effect probably doesn't cut. Maybe you could play it against Law. Trash a card with trigger from your hand and KO one of your opponent's 1 cost. There's like very niche situations where that could come up, but he is just a searchable 2K, and that's what we like about him.
Is it like the subtlety of that card because we don't have the Charlotte pudding available that much? The other 2K?
Well, we play every 2K available.
Okay.
So yeah, this is the starter deck pudding. You're probably never going to play her. She's just for her effect of having a 2K. Then we play Sanji, husband. You actually can play him, so he has an interesting effect. Don X2. When attacking, take the top or bottom card of your life, add it to your hand, and then replace it. So basically, he draws a card, and he's a body that draws a card and then blocks an attack, so it's very strong. He's also a 2K, so absolutely amazing card. Not great against red because they're probably just going to Marco it, so I probably wouldn't play it against red, but in other matchups, he's very strong.
So we got a lot of defense going on right now.
Yep. 4 Parasparrow. He is really, this is probably the best one to get off of your life. He's a 5 power 3. He just swings for 5, and then when he dies, you look at the top 3 and add a Big Mom. He helps your curve really well. Going first, you can just slam him on 2, and then going second, you can put a Don on your leader, get your leader ability, and then slam him as well. So just really good.
Then he also has a very surprise factor too with that trigger.
Yeah, so yeah, he's one of the trigger plays. Basically, if you flip him up, discard a card and play him. Then we have 3 Brulee. I was experimenting with the ratios, and just 3. I mean, this card really sucks to draw. It's terrible against red. Like I said, they just Marco it. They can Vista it. There's a million ways to clear this against red. But against other decks, you know, it just can, like in the mirror specifically, like
it's staying put.
It's hard to remove in the mirror, you know, so you can just keep it on the field and then block your opponent's 10-drop Big Mom when the time is right. So it's a pretty good card. We're just experimenting with the ratios a little bit.
How did it feel for you today?
It was fine. I mean, I don't think you'll see a big drastic switch in playing 3 to 4, but you probably, you know, like I said, we're gonna probably this is like version 4. We'll keep messing with the ratios to see what we like. You know what I mean? Then we have 4 the goo. This is one of the, I mean, it is just a 4/6 vanilla, but I think it's very strong. Going like basically like in the mirror, right? Everything's like a 5K, so having a 6K base is just really strong in the mirror. Against Whitebeard, it challenges your opponent's 4/6s very well. Against really just, I mean, just having this body is just good. So
plus another target for pudding when you're searching.
Another target for pudding, sure, yeah. And it just kind of comes down to the tempo is very good. So let's say your opponent hits your life and you get to play a card. I then get to establish a second card that's a little bigger than the 5s, and I can just start turning things sideways very quickly. So very good tempo, very good in the mirror, very good against Whitebeard. It's the goo, you know, it's the goo monster, so we'll just play him. Then we play 4 Cracker and Wear as well as 4 Charlotte. These are our trigger plays. Both have the same effect of trigger. Discard 1, play this when you reveal it. The effect of Smoothie is when you swing, you can take a life and gain 7. That effect is like very costly, and you like. I mean, I'm not gonna say you never do it, but you know when you're only doing it when you go for game, pretty much. Charlotte's a little cool. Don X1, if you have less life than your opponent, gain +1 and double. So he very often just becomes a 7K swing for 1 Don because you have less life than your opponent, you know? So both of these are just very strong. Against aggro, you play them like for free basically. You do discard a card, but you play them for no Dawn, and then you get to attack your opponent's board a lot in response. Double Shirahoshi. I'm not playing like a really, really big amount of boss monsters. This card's like terrible to draw. It's a really great trigger, but I can actually see a version of the deck where I don't play this because it's kind of like, it's just RNG, right? Like if I get Shirahoshi, I'm happy. If I draw it, I'm unhappy. It's just like a really heavy RNG based card. But that effect is insane. It's Graceful Charity, draw 3, discard 2. Playing that for free is beautiful. And then she combos really well with the 8-drop Katakuri because I can play her off of the trigger and then put her back and then get that trigger again. So it's just a good card.
What would you consider to put in this place if we go to like version 5 and 6?
Probably, so I'm playing some 3-ofs. I'd probably just round those out to 4 basically. If you're playing a lot more of the like big boss monsters, you could consider playing more because she fixes her hand. But I think I reduced the boss package like as much as I possibly could. So
I don't blame you on that one bit.
We have 2 7-drop Big Mom, and she is like definitely the worst boss. Your opponent chooses whether they crit a life or you gain 1. The only reason you play her is because you slam her on curve going first. Going second in this deck is always better, but obviously your opponent knows that as well. So they're going to make you go first when you lose the dice roll, and that way you still have a boss monster you can play. It's just the 7 cost, it's like kind of mediocre against blue because they can bounce it or bottom deck it with Mihawk. Mediocre against Ace because they can Flame Emperor it. Just like, it's not a bad card by any means, but it's just the worst one, basically.
But they still got to waste a resource to get rid of it.
They do have, yeah, exactly. Double Katakuri, this card's really strong. You can put your card back, your opponent's top or bottom of the life, and then he's just a big body. So just, yeah, Katakuri is just a very strong tempo play, as well as you can also just heal yourself. You can put your own triggers back, like I said, with Shirahoshi. You can summon, like, Pudding, and then later in the game put Pudding back in your life so you get another Surge. So just a really, really strong effect. And we have, of course, 4 of the 10-drop. Just big mom.
You got to play that 4, guys.
Yeah, this is just, I mean, I don't know. This is just one of the best cards in the game, right?
This shit is devastating in the mirror.
Yeah, deal one, heal one. I don't know what's much to say about it. Like, I feel like you've probably already heard a lot of talk about Big Mom, and you're probably going to hear a lot more. I think it's just one of the best cards ever printed. Like
the fact that you heal one and then they burn one is just
exactly. You know, slamming these back to back to back is just very toxic. It's just a crazy, crazy card. Yeah, and that's the thing. The reason Whitebeard is one of your tougher matchups is because they can establish a board very quickly, and then they also go down to 0 life. So even though I would still play this because it's just a huge body that heals me 1, like, you don't get full value by taking your opponent's life as well. That's just one of the downsides. So just dude, I don't know. Like, I could go on and on about this card, but I don't think I need to. It's just
say less.
It's just insane. 3 Ico Sovereignties. It's just your 2 Dawn plus 5. So normally, like, things like Punk Gibson and Radical Beam and Red Hawk, we're used to leaders being 9Ks defensively. The fact that this makes you 10 just makes it a little better.
Good math.
Yeah, just 2 Dawn for 10K is super strong. It does not have a secondary effect, like Red Hawk, for example, also kills something 4 or less. But because this gives you 10, it doesn't have a secondary effect. Trigger is one of the best triggers in the deck. Trash 2 cards in your hand and gain a life. If your opponent has like exact lethal, for example, you can flip this up and then gain another life and then not lose the game. This is really strong where it comes into your leader manipulating life, because if I see this in my life, I'm going to put it at the bottom life. That way I know the last attack basically gets me another life. And so it just basically says, hey, I'm not going to lose. You know, basically they're going to have to have an additional attack in order for me to lose. And sometimes that's the difference between winning and losing right there.
Good old escape button.
Yep, escape button. Yep. 2 Thunderbolt. This has a huge cost. So main, trashy card in your life, KO a 5 cost. That is a huge cost. It is relevant to do in some situations, you know what I mean? Because just tempo-wise, it's still a good play. But really, the main reason you want to play it is because of the trigger. KO to one of your opponent's 5 cost or less. That is basically a jet pistol off the life that they can't really play around. You can manipulate power, but you can't manipulate the levels of your cards. So this basically just snipes an attacker, and then again, you don't lose the game. If I am revealing this card with my leader effect, I'm putting it at the bottom life. That way, when they're doing their attacks, I can just snipe one of their attackers theoretically, and or I can snipe a blocker, and then my big mom can get in for games. So it's just
got some
relevant,
versatility to it.
Exactly. So that's Katakuri. I think it's super strong. Matchup wise, I think the worst is the mirror. I mean, the mirror is so toxic. It really sometimes comes down to like who can drop more boss monsters, who can drop more 10 drops. But I'm just gonna have to grind the mirror to really figure out the tech for that. But that was Katakuri. I'm so excited to play more set 3. We're gonna have more deck profiles, more content. Everyone, thanks for watching, and hit that like and subscribe for more content.
Peace.